Welcome to The Mindful Agent, where real estate success meets health, mindfulness, and personal growth. Join me, Michael Coxon, top performing agent, growth director, and co-owner of Magenta Real Estate, as I explore the intersection of wellness and business excellence, helping you thrive in both real estate and life. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce a guest who has not only shaped the trajectory of my own career, but has also set an extraordinary example for agents and brokers across the real estate industry. Tom Heuser is a brilliant real estate broker and co-owner of Magenta Real Estate, known for his meticulous attention to detail, exceptional negotiating skills, and deep understanding of economics and market trends. He understands the industry like no other. I know that firsthand. With his wife Serena, Tom built one of Las Vegas's top performing real estate teams, achieving remarkable success before co-founding Magenta to elevate the brokerage experience for agents and clients alike. His leadership blends professional excellence with unwavering support, fostering an environment where agents thrive. In this episode, we'll dive into Tom's incredible career journey, from navigating challenges in the mortgage industry to building a team and brokerage from the ground up. Tom strongly believes in the power of focus, advocating that agents who avoid being a jack of all trades and instead master one area of expertise will not only stand out in their market, but also achieve greater success and fulfillment in their careers. Plus, we'll explore Tom's approach to balancing high performance with mindfulness, health, and family life. Because let's face it, success is meaningless if we don't feel fulfilled. Without further ado, let's jump into the conversation with my mentor, business partner, and friend, Tom Heuser.
We've had 100 of these conversations. We're just finally recording.
Now we're actually recording it.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to start off with introducing the guest, Tom Heuser. He's the broker of Magenta, partner of mine and mentor of mine, was a colleague, then a mentor, still is a mentor. So I'm honored to have you on the podcast. You and I have these conversations offline constantly. And now we're just recording one.
Well, thank you for that nice intro.
Yeah.
I have a lot to live up to.
Yeah, we do. No pressure. But yeah, you're the man. And I guess, how did you get into real estate? I know it, but tell our listeners how this all started.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of a long story. So I originally was in the hospitality business for about 14 years. Then I got interested in the mortgage business, so I became a loan officer. That was at a wonderful time from 2004 to 2007, before the world melted down in Las Vegas. And every short sale came out. So I actually went back into the hospitality business for a couple of years. And then when I decided that I wanted to get back into the real estate market, I was going to be a loan officer. And I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I hated sitting behind a desk. I hated losing deals over 1/4 of an interest percentage or an 1/8. So I actually decided I wanted to get on the more fun side, which was real estate sales. So when I get back into the business, that is when I said, I'm going to do real estate sales, and I've enjoyed it a lot more than the mortgage side of the business.
Yeah, you thought it would be more fun and you'd have maybe more control over the process?
Yeah. And then a little bit, deeper layer to that was what got me into the mortgage business is I was buying houses as an investor, and I always struggled finding a knowledgeable loan officer that could actually do my deal easily. Even though I had plenty of money in the bank, I had a great job, I had assets, but it was like a struggle every single time. So I realized that loan officers were lacking knowledge in the industry, and that's what attracted me. And then when I was thinking about getting into the real estate business, was selling a house and buying a house in another state, agent was terrible. And I went, hey, there's a gap here also that is needed. And as I just looked more into it, I realized how little bit of business a lot of agents did, and they just weren't good at what they did.
So noticing a trend, you kind of saw weaknesses in these positions as you were a consumer of them, both
Yes.
loans and agency, and you attacked them with, I can do better.
Yeah.
It's a good
100%.
mindset.
Yeah.
How does your knowledge of loans affect you as an agent and a broker today?
Oh, it helps me immensely, just because there's so many, especially right now in the market that we're in a potential assumable loan market for FHA and VA loans. And I just understand that. And I can help the agents walk through transactions with debt to income ratio. I get it all. So that it's been a monumental help. But I'm so happy I made the transition from mortgage to real estate for sure.
I mean, I've seen in myself and agents, like you're able to explain complicated financial concepts and what happens in the mortgage market in a way that we as agents can relate it to our clients.
Yeah, and that's important. I think that was well said that, you can have all this knowledge up here, but if you can't dumb it down, like some doctors I go to, right? And they're like, this is what's wrong. And I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. Like, it's not helpful. Can you speak English, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're using all this medical jargon. Well, it's the same way in real estate. It's the same way in mortgage. You have your own professional jargon that we can use between agents, but you can't, when you're trying to dumb down things to help people understand, it has to be simplified.
Just because you understand it means really nothing. It's like, can you communicate the message?
Can you teach it? Yeah. Yeah.
And help people make decisions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated. So you grew from mortgage agent, mortgage broker, real estate agent. Next step was team leader.
Yep. Then team leader.
What about that jump from agent to team leader? What made you do that?
So as my wife and I got into the business, Serena, we always had the desire to build a team. And I knew that I didn't always want to be 100% in production myself. I wanted to have a team. So we went in, we signed up at this particular brokerage. We went in and we met with the broker at that time of a very large brokerage here in town. And Serena and I were both in that room. And I told him that we were going to do 100 transactions a year. And he laughed me out of the room. And then when we left, Serena said, "You are so embarrassing. I cannot believe you told him we were going to do 100 transactions a year." He practically laughed us out of the room. Well, that inspired me to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
So 2 years later, I proved him wrong. We were doing over 100 transactions a year.
You didn't do it the first year.
We didn't do it the first year. Yeah.
So that's incredible. I mean, why start? So this was part of the plan, start a team to get to that 100 transactions, or did you and Serena do 100 transactions all by yourself, or did you use the leverage of people and a team to get there?
We used the leverage of a people and a team. Now, of course, any agent can do whatever they want. If you're willing to dedicate your life 16 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week to doing nothing but production, you can do 100 transactions or you'll have no life.
What do you think is the max number one solo agent can do? No TCs, no assistants, no team.
I would say 40. I mean, that would be 40 in a year, solo agent with no
life.
No life.
And is that a healthy choice, would you say?
Each person has to make their own choice, right? Everybody has to make their own choice of what's important to them. If you had kids or you had a significant other, I don't see how you'd get a lot of quality time with them. If you're just, maybe that number's 50. It depends on the market, what's happening. I mean, you and I have been through markets where you've got to put 7 offers in for a buyer. Those markets, it's a lot harder to get 40 deals done.
Yeah. I think when I was on your team, I'm trying to remember the max I did in a year, and it may have been close to that.
I think you were around 40. Yeah.
But we had a TC for sellers, a TC for buyers.
Yeah.
And that was exhausting with TC help. And I really feel like 40 for me with TC help was the max. And frankly, I reached burnout.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much more sustainable that was until I pivoted and switched. Well, I should say in my case, the market did it for me and transactional volume came down. But did you have a plan to say, hey, I want work-life balance. I want a team to help me hit my numbers, or did you max yourself out before getting a team?
No, we did not max ourselves out. We were probably 80% maxed out, and then we started transitioning to the team.
When you started the team, what was your first hire? Was it a buyer's agent, a TC, something else?
Yeah, I believe it was a buyer's agent. And really what we did was we knew, we'd run a couple of years of just being slow, 18 months of just being slow. And we realized that this was never going to turn into a business if we didn't get some form of leads.
I'll pause you there because you said something that's important to me. You said it's never going to turn into a business. What was it before it was a business?
It was just trying to make a few bucks. It wasn't a business. Like, that's the problem, is agents don't think of it that way. You are a 1099 independent contractor. This is your business, and the sky is the limit. You can do whatever you want. So some of them keep it simple and just be a solopreneur and just do a few transactions a year.
Yeah.
So
There's multiple examples of this
multiple examples
in all business.
Yes. And yeah, there's there's roofing companies that it's the owners, right? That's it. It's the husband does the work. I mean, we work with a lot of sign companies. There's there's a lot of small companies in the world.
The McDonald's brothers, they had a burger shop. Ray Kroc had a business and turned it into what it is today. You can only flip so many burgers.
Yeah, that's it. And to your point, time is, you don't have unlimited time. Yeah. So once we got this lead source, well, we realized we needed a lead source because we were never going to be able to do enough business without a lead source.
Which was?
At that time, it was called Boomtown.
Okay.
And so that brought us in about 300 leads a month. And we realized that we couldn't handle this ourselves. So
where are these leads coming from?
Internet leads. So they had a website, call it Google pay-per-click ads, brought them to the Boomtown website. People had to register. So they were not high. We had a low conversion rate on it, but it took a lot of manpower to manage this lead volume because, 300 leads the first month, not a big deal. Second month, not terrible. As you get to the third month now, you've got 900 leads in the database that are new, and you're trying to follow up with all of them.
So how many people were fielding these? Because that's 10 per day at 300.
Yeah, so that's where we had to start growing, and we had to add 2 more buyer's agents quickly. But then, as we were going through this process, we learned a lot, and a lot of it was failing our way forward. We didn't know that these leads weren't that great quality. We didn't know that we didn't have the right scripts. We didn't know what to say on the phone. We didn't know how quickly to follow up with them. So this took this whole, just getting punched in the face day after day, week after week to say, what we're doing isn't working. We got to change something.
So how did you know it wasn't working? Just no one was buying anything?
Nobody was buying anything, no contracts. So then I realized that, I could do this from scratch and try to figure it out all on my own. Or I could say, hey, somebody's been there, done this, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and I could hire a coach. And that's when we decided to hire a coach because we were just doing everything. We were trying to figure it all out, and it didn't make sense.
So rough numbers, how many years were you in the business before you hired a coach? The real estate sales business?
I would say about 18 months. Yeah.
How many deals roughly had you done at that point?
10.
Okay.
12.
So, 10 deals in 18 months is still well above average.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would be happy with that.
Yes.
You were not.
Not at all.
And was it because you realize you're investing this money and you're not getting a return, or you weren't going to hit your goal of 100 deals? What made you go, we can do better?
Well, I think that every agent gets a license, and the day that they get that license, they go, all my friends and family are just going to rain clients on me, and I'm going to be so busy. And then after about 6 months, there starts to be some clarity that that's not going to happen. And after about the first year, you go, this isn't what I thought it was. My friends and family are not sending me so much business that I can, most agents quit their other job, right? Because they're working a job while they're trying to transition into real estate full time. And that's a very hard thing to do. So
I tell people, you were in the hospitality business. I tell new agents, you would never go open a restaurant hoping it survives off friends and family. That opening weekend might be great, but your friends and family aren't going to eat at your restaurant every single night.
Every night.
So have a plan.
Yeah.
And a lot of agents just, as you mentioned, go in with, my friends and family will take care of me. No, maybe once or twice a year if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So that's a business and something you need to nurture and prove to friends and family. This is a serious business. It's not one dinner out. You're helping them buy and sell a huge asset. Maybe they don't want to work with you, but you're not skilled and prepared.
And that's 100% it. And, you don't understand that when you first get in the business, exactly what you just said. Your friends, family, your sphere, they don't trust you. You're new. You don't know what you're doing. They know you're new.
Doesn't know you're new.
Yeah. So that's where it's you have to fake it till you make it. You've got to buy leads. You've got to get business from somewhere else. Then once you start doing business, your friends and family go, oh, hey, we're not the guinea pigs anymore, right? He's not going to practice on us. So that's when they actually start giving you some business. But again, I can't think of a year that our sphere, and I don't mean past clients that we've bought through leads. I'm just talking about our sphere, our friends, our family, never generated it from a lead from anywhere else, which is now our database. But we've never done more than 5 or 10% of our business from people that we just know, our true sphere, not past clients.
How many people can one
Yeah.
actually know?
Yeah.
And I think if you ask anyone how many real estate agents they know, they're going to probably list 3 or 4. So even though they may know you, they probably know 3 others like you.
Yeah, then you'll get a smart ass agent that says I do it, which there are some that do it. I say the smart ass because they're doing 3 or 4 deals a year. They have another full-time job being a plumber.
That's their goal.
And so if you have another job doing something else, that's not my definition of success.
Yeah.
My definition of success is I'm a full-time real estate agent. My whole livelihood is based on the income that I get from selling homes. And when I'm not doing real estate, I get to spend time with my friends and family and personal time, not working 3 jobs because I'm not successful in real estate.
Yeah. And this is one of the only industries where it's almost common ground for it to be a side business, where there's so much, I think, at risk and so much legal and financial seriousness to be had, yet we're treating it often as part-time. And you never had that mindset.
Yeah, no, I've never had that mindset because, I had those bad experiences early on, and it was crystal clear to me that these are people's biggest investments. Like there's a lot of legal paperwork. There's a lot of things that go right and go wrong in a transaction, every transaction, as you know, and you have to have the skills to solve that.
Yeah. And sometimes being successful is almost a curse early on. You go through 1 or 2 of those deals and nothing bad happens. And you're like, it's easy. I can do this. And you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And you get into the mold that takes you down a 2-week rabbit hole and $40,000. And yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah. I mean, so that was me early on. I had another business when I got licensed. I just liked real estate. Like a lot of people, it was a hobby in a way. It was a passion I wanted to pursue, but was I prepared? Not really. And thankfully, I skated by, did a few deals a year. And that's when we met, actually, was a deal with you. And doing a deal with you, I went, oh, Tom knows what he's doing more than I do. He has systems in place. He had processes, the way you delivered paperwork and had your assistants. And I went, okay, there's a different way to do this. And that's when my mindset shifted and we connected. But that was years later. So you had already been in coaching at that point. I remember learning a lot from you and your coaches, being part of the coaching program. But to rewind our conversation, jumped into coaching. You were 18 months in, you had done about 10 deals and you wanted more. So you did not settle. You were still 90 deals away from your goal of 100 transactions.
Yeah.
How'd you get from deal 10 to deal 100?
Yeah, that was hiring a coach, getting a blueprint of systems, processes, and tools to implement into creating a real business with people and all these other things and scaling it.
Give me one example of a system or tool that your coach gave you that changed everything.
Well, lead generation, proper lead generation systems, but more importantly, you can bring in leads, but if you don't do accountability on those leads and you don't follow up with those leads and you don't have scripts, all of those things that I just said all came from the coach. These are the scripts you need. This is how quickly you need to call them back. This is how you need to follow up over the next 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, 18 months. So it's like, wow, these light bulbs go off. And when you go, I was doing this 99% wrong. Yeah. So you can buy all these leads and you can spend $5,000 a month on leads, but you're just flushing the money down the toilet because you're doing everything wrong.
All you needed was leads. Every real estate agent would be successful.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's a fallacy. A lot of agents are like, well, I just need leads. Give me leads. I'll want to buy leads. Well, it's frankly a waste of money if you don't have scripts and systems, right?
100%.
Yeah. CRM.
Boomtown
is
follow up.
Also a CRM.
Yep. And our coach, if I just think of the timeline, our coach was the one that suggested Boomtown. Okay. Yes. So I guess we probably signed up for some lead systems first, and when they weren't working, then that's when got the coach and signed up for Boomtown. And I remember that was a big freak out moment for Serena and I, because not only now are we paying for coaching, but Boomtown was going to be a minimum. We had to sign a contract for 1 year for $2,000 a month.
Cheap.
That's not cheap. And I mean, now this was 12 years ago. This isn't today's money, right?
But yeah, so maybe that's 3,000 today.
Yeah, and that's not even a spend, a Google AdWords spend. So really, you're at $3,000 a month for 1 year. That's $36,000 plus coaching. So
Investing the equivalent of a year's salary
for most people, average household salary
into your business with no guarantee of return.
Correct. Into us.
And you were already quote unquote successful, having done 10 deals in 18 months.
Yes.
It wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough.
So you took that gamble.
Took that gamble.
Okay. And then, so you attribute getting from 10 to 100 to lead generation, systems, scripts, and follow-up. And you coach that to, at this point, it was 3 agents.
Yes.
And then it just
at that time
went from there.
Yep. And then we started getting this machine going. We got a TC in for the team. So, because I wanted things done my way and I didn't want to use like a third party TC. Lose control. And I wanted 100% control. I think we fired our first TC after 2 or 3 weeks. She was so bad. And then now we've had this one for 10 years.
The phrase, hire slowly and fire quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that was huge, game changer for the business to take all that paperwork off of the agents. And
that's one major lesson I learned on your team was to focus on what I do best. And that was being with people and talking with people and marketing myself and transacting and negotiating. I love
best use.
That was my highest and best use. As soon as I had a TC I could trust, thanks to one you had already trained, a light bulb went off where I could just take this entire section of my business and move it out of my brain 90%. Yeah. And now I only have 10% on that, and I can go 90% on my clients. And I think that's what allowed me to really grow. That would be my number one tip I learned. Yeah, we had leads coming in and all that, but managing the leads, something I could focus on, and I knew paperwork was my weakness. Before being on your team, there were many times I failed to deliver the HOA resale package on time. I said, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. I think knowing your weakness is critical.
That's huge. That's get to your highest and best use, which you were phenomenal at doing.
What was your weakness in real estate sales, or should I say is?
Mine would be follow-up. Yeah, that's not my strength. And that's why I allowed all the other agents. So another thing you learn in coaching is disc profiles, and certain disc profiles, personality profiles fit with certain tasks in real estate. So these people that are going to answer the phone with new incoming leads have to have a little bit fluffier personality. You can probably tell from this podcast that I'm pretty monotone. My wife tells me this all the time. So
that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fit that role of answering that call, coming in and being bubbly and friendly. So, that people are like, oh, I really want to work with him. That's not my strength.
Yeah. And that's maybe why, not to put any words in your mouth, is that why you chose to elevate to the broker level, where there is far more need for analytics, facts, figures, law, methods, as opposed to personality and being likable.
Yeah.
And you are a very likable broker, but
thank you.
Yes. I just mean is that why you decided to go that route instead of team leader?
Yeah, no, I mean, so the way the team evolved was as you know, now in the business, it's a lot more demanding. You have to have a lot more knowledge, critical thinking skills on the listing side of the business. So when we first got the buyer's agents, that's all they were allowed to do was the buyer's side. So I was the listing specialist. And that's because you had to do all these comps, all these analytics. You had to go in and ask a seller on a $600,000 house, right, for 6% commission. That's $36,000. Whereas a buyer's agent, all you're trying to say is, hey, my transaction fee is $500. But now things have changed, right? Things have changed since the settlement recently. But back then, more than 10 years ago, it was very easy to not have to ask a buyer for money. It was you were paid for through the MLS. So that's why I went to the more intricate listing side of the business. So I would take all the listing leads, or if somebody had to sell by, I would do that. And then eventually I was able to find some strong listing agents like yourself that were cultivated up, be able to give those leads to you. Then I could then move to just team leader, and then I could move to broker.
Was that always the vision when you walked into that broker's office and said, I'm going to do 100 deals? Did you want to be a broker then?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I never really had that goal to be the broker. I wanted to be the team leader.
Yeah, I think we're always evolving in life, and we're getting faced with new challenges and new, sometimes getting what we want isn't what we want when we actually arrive to that destination. Like you reach your goal of 100 deals, and then you go, that was great, but do I really want this? Or now, yes, I wanted it. Check. Do I want something else? Like we need to constantly be reevaluating ourselves and goals as we grow older. I mean, circumstances change. Your kids grow up, we get older, and it's totally okay to pivot. And I think sometimes it could be overwhelming if you're a new agent to say, I want to be a broker one day. That's a huge goal and takes years of experience to get there. And I think it's wiser to say, well, I want to do this many transactions. And 100 was a big number, so maybe it's wiser to take smaller chunks. But you had one goal, get to 100 deals with a team, then be a really good listing agent, be a great team leader, and then broker. And that seems like a very organic path that you've taken. Have you always found yourself time for yourself? We touched on it earlier today that you never did 40 transactions in a year by yourself. You never burnt yourself out, or have you in this journey?
Oh, definitely burnt myself out. Yeah. Okay. I mean, when we were running the team, the maximum transactions we did in a year was 235 transactions. We're spending $600,000 a year on leads. There's a lot of management and accountability and numbers going on. I was still overseeing, even though I wasn't the broker, it was actually writing the checks to the agents. I was still doing the payouts in the background. So it was just like being the broker.
It's a lot of accounting.
A lot of accounting. I just didn't actually see the money go through our accounts, but it was still a lot of accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a ton of work there. And then as we roll through different markets, the accountability gets a lot more, gets a lot less. Turnover, agents leaving, agents getting burned out, agents not working out, like those disc profiles. Just because you have a certain profile doesn't mean you're going to 100% work out. There's like a 75% chance.
Yeah. Then you had all the accountability of every lead that comes in. You're spending all this money. Obviously, you want to make sure it's being invested and the leads are being taken care of. So yeah, there's different kinds of burnout. You're talking more, this is executive level business running type of burnout. You never burnt yourself out as an agent because you kind of immediately went into let's leverage people and have a team.
Yes, because at the peak we had set, and I say the peak because obviously COVID hit and all of our businesses ramped up just magically, right? And we weren't some amazing business leaders, like interest rates dropped through the floor and the business took off. So we were good business leaders, but it made everybody look great for a couple of years, no matter if you were brand new in the business or if you were a seasoned professional. There was a lot that was masked there. But in our peak, we had 17 agents. We did 235 transactions, which that is unheard of in the real estate business for agents to be that productive. We had 2 TCs. We had a full-time marketing person.
And you're talking about 12 deals per agent on average, just rough math in my head. Yeah, that is rare. So you were doing something right.
Yeah. And obviously you always have a bench, right? So we had the agents like you that were closing 30 to 40, but then we've got the 2 new agents that just got their real estate license, and we're trying to get them trained to get them on leads. So they're getting 3 or 5 deals their first, year into the business. And then they ramp up their second year quite a bit. Sometimes they get 7, 8. I guess we had some get 10, but you've always got your bench that is climbing this ladder to become better.
So, I mean, you built a big business, over 20 transactions a month, managing and producing yourself. You kept producing during that time. How did you manage and take time to reduce the stress?
Definitely exercise and, some meditation, but an avid gym goer, was an avid mountain biker, hiker, walker, you name it. Anything that puts physical stress on the body is needed. Snowboarding.
You've mentioned like kayaking through glaciers. You're just like, bring it on.
Yeah, adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
It's got to have the adrenaline, because
So mountain biking.
this mind never stops until it has to. And when you get yourself into situations that you can do nothing besides focus on what's in front of you, that's the only way you can release the mind. Yeah.
I was just thinking that that's why it just connected for me. That's why you enjoy that, is it hones in your focus when you're doing mountain biking or glacier kayaking,
Yes.
snowboarding. If you lose focus, you can get hurt or die.
Yeah. Really bad.
Yeah. So it's interesting that these things that are potentially physically dangerous are actually mentally healthy, I think, for your brain to switch off and think in a different way.
Yes.
Because your brain goes off in a million different places. You mentioned to me before about sleep, and that, can affect your sleep patterns, having the mind think about, did I pay this person? Did I pay this bill? Oh, what about that lead that came in last night? How did that affect your sleep?
Yeah, no, there was, I had many, many years. I went about 30 years with not getting great sleep, and 30 years. Yeah. Until just about 90 days ago. And, some of that, though, is the hard wiring of, in the past, you think the only way I can be successful is go, 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 go. And limited sleep, the more I sleep, the more I don't have time to do production. I don't have time to grow this business. I don't have time to spend with my kids. So there was a lot of self-pressure put on there to not sleep that much.
Yeah. I mean, like, we grew up with an era of that mentality, like, I'll
Yeah.
sleep when I'm dead, rise and grind, the 4 a.m. club, get up, get out. That was definitely, I think, the culture we grew up in. And I don't know, what do you think? Is it a new culture now, or is it just age and wisdom that made you shift your sleep habits?
I think a little bit of both. Age and wisdom helps with a lot of things in life, as you know. And, but there's just so much more scientific studies now of wearing your body down and not having the mental focus that you should, or really the strong thoughts to grow your business, because you're so tired, you're so run down. So now new scientific and health studies show sleep is one of the most important things, not only for longevity, health, but wellness, but just feeling great as a human being.
Yep. Got my 8 hours last night.
Yeah.
This podcast would be terrible if I did not. I can actually focus. I have found sleep to be like, recovery and everything, but mental focus for sure is one of the biggest things in any business you're in, to be able to focus without needing to snowboard or, ride a bike down a cliff, like, to be able to turn that on. So 90 days ago, which is not that long ago, I mean, most of your adult life, you had sleep issues. What changed? What did you do differently 90 days ago?
So it was interesting, because I was actually thinking about going to a sleep therapist. There's something called cognitive behavioral therapy. And I thought about going to there. Well, I should back up first. Like, why did all this start? So essentially, my body started breaking down. My joints. I've had an autoimmune disease for 25 years. Who knows where that's from? What's the cause of it? But over the last 25 years, that has just really broken down my joints. So they're just really in bad shape. And so I just ran into some issues with mountain biking. Like, I was just getting hurt, and I wasn't like falling down. I was just getting hurt for no reason. Just from riding. Yeah, it's pretty rough. Yeah, it's pretty abusive on your body, and my body was just breaking down. So and I'm not young, I'm not a spring chicken, but I still feel that I'm fit enough to be able to do that. So it was kind of frustrating that my body's breaking down on me. So that was the first thing to say, hey, you're not getting enough sleep. There's something going on here.
You weren't recovering.
I wasn't recovering. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Wasn't recovering for anything. So I actually just did a lot of studies. There's so many health things out there nowadays. But I actually went and did something called stem cell therapy, which is their IV infusions. And I actually went to Panama. Because they don't do it here in America, and to the potency, and they don't have the efficacy that these places do in other countries. So that was about 75 days ago that I did that. And the results typically come in between 2 months and 6 months. So I'm optimistic now that I should start seeing a lot of those results.
Experiment.
Yeah, in the experiment.
Did that change your sleep? Like, because there's this correlation there. You said 90 days ago, but 70.
Yeah, good catch on that. So it was interesting because it was, as I was a couple of weeks before I was getting ready to go to stem cell down to Panama, I just actually started sleeping really well. And why did this happen? I was actually going to go see a sleep therapist, just figure out like what's going on in my head. What can I do? You know, I went to that first visit and they're like, here, we'll give you some pills. And I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, you can keep your pills. I need to like fix the thoughts, right? Just keeping me awake. And it was weird. There's a saying that I've actually built this entire business on over the years. And I only applied it to business in the past and never to my life, which I walked in and there's this Henry Ford saying that says, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I saw that on my wall and I went, sleep. I've never thought that I could sleep. I ingrained that in my own head that I identified that with poor sleep. Yeah.
And
so I changed everything in my own head because I don't want pills. So I just read that thing a couple of times. I'm like, I have applied this to my business for years and built this huge business, but yet I haven't taken this simple belief and applied it to my sleep. And it changed everything.
That's so amazing. So this is something that's been on your wall that you see every day, that you live by every day, but only in the business side of your life. And just one day you were like, wait a minute, there's a whole other side of my world I can apply this to.
Yeah. And
so that night, was it just thinking the thought of, I am now a good sleeper?
Yeah.
And you slept better that night?
I slept better that night. And then
isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. And then I got up in the morning and I spent the next 30 minutes not on my phone, which I do often, affirmations. But these affirmations were, I'm a good sleeper. I deserve to get good sleep. My body deserves to be healed. And it was just this constant positive rhetoric in my head. And I even struggled to sleep the other night. I get out of bed because I read some more stuff about sleep, 15 minutes, sat in a chair, and I convinced myself I'm a good sleeper, get back in bed. You deserve this sleep.
Yes.
And I got back in bed and I fell asleep.
Resisting. I have heard this technique. If you truly can't fall back asleep, get up, keep the lights off, no phone, nothing, and sit and be. And I had heard, but affirm that it's bedtime and I deserve to go back to sleep, and you will. I read something about that.
I'm worthy, right? I'm worthy of good sleep.
I'm thankful I haven't had to try it, but I've only read about it, but I'm glad to hear it works.
Yeah, it works. I mean, I guess you have to be, mind strong, right? To be able to do this. You have to truly believe. And I've always believed that if I believe this in life, if any other human being can do it, I can do it. Now, guess what? I may not be able to run like Usain Bolt or some of these guys in the Olympics,
basketball,
right? Or dunk basketball like them. But I don't know. I never tried.
I was going to say,
I never tried that hard.
I've often thought that because I've never been able to dunk. And I've always well, what if I devoted this year to dunking?
Yeah.
I hired a basketball coach and did the leg exercises, ran whatever the science says. Could I dunk a basketball?
Yeah. Is there one guy in the world that's your height that can do that?
Oh, there's plenty of guys.
That's my point.
Yeah. Shorter than me.
And even if you fall short, you got damn close.
Yeah. I think there'd be measurable improvements.
Yeah.
That's a very measurable thing.
And that's always been my thing is, I want to be in that top 3% of anything I do in life.
So you had told me prior to this, one of your mantras is to really not be a jack of all trades and a master of none, to be singularly focused. And you have applied that recently to your sleep. And it worked. You said your affirmations became about sleep. How else has that mantra, that way of life made you who you are today?
Yeah, I think too many people try to do too much and they just don't get great at anything. There's that saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And okay, I get that. If you have $1 million, don't go put it all in black, right? In the casino, don't put it all in one stock. Makes a lot of sense for your nest egg.
Yeah.
But when you're building a business, you're building a career, you're trying to become an athlete, whatever that is, you got to go all in. And that's what we did for the business. You can't have a plan B, because a plan B says, hey, if this doesn't work out, well, the only way that you can fail is you quit. That's it. So if you keep going and going and going, like in our real estate business, I have told so many agents over the years, whether it be on the team, whether now it's at the brokerage, stop trying to do it all. You can't do phenomenal commercial. You can't do residential. You can't do property management. You can't do different cities outside of Las Vegas that are a 30-minute drive each way. Can't do land. Like at a certain point, I'm not saying you can't do it, but if you just really focus your core business on 95%, 98% of the same thing, you're going to get so good at that. You're going to master it. And then you are going to stand out amongst the competition. Like we focused on Summerlin. So we really stand out in Summerlin to buyers and sellers and even to other agents, because they're like, wow, these guys kill Summerlin.
Another sign in the yard. Yeah.
Yeah. But
you're everywhere.
But when you spend $50,000 a month only for Summerlin leads, that helps you get there.
So what advice would you give someone in trying to figure out what their one thing is that they should focus on?
And that's going to be based on their personality. And then they have to go through, like we have something called a lead pillar webinar. So what it does, it's an 1.5 hour training to say, here's all the lead sources.
There's a bunch of different ways to get leads.
Yeah. And some of those you're going to say, that sounds terrible. Like I never want to do an open house, or I never want to do online leads, but yeah, I do want to call divorce attorneys, or I do want to go to lunch with them, or I do want to do open houses, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be things that, and that might adjust a little bit as you start doing them. But if you're going to do open houses, you got to get really good at that.
So you're saying like, get all your options in front of you that you want to master, all trades, open house, divorce, calling attorneys, have every little lead source possible, which you mentioned you have a lead pillar webinar. We'll link that in the show notes so people could see that. And then you're saying that you'll have some gut reactions to things like, calling for sale by owners. No, you'll have a visceral no.
Love it or hate it.
You'll know. Cross that one off.
Yeah.
Open houses, maybe. You circle it, and so on and so forth. And then you've now narrowed it down. So now let's say you chose open houses. Go do what? 10 of them? One of them? Like, how do you know if it's working, or if that's the one, or when is it time to say it ain't working? I need to try the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, again, you can only fail if you stop. So a great example that I can give you is early on in the business, Serena took Zillow leads and failed miserably. I think it was like a 6-month contract back then, and we stopped it right at 6 months and said it didn't work. And then we went to a coaching seminar with thousands of people there, and they kept standing up and saying, oh, Zillow's my best lead source. Zillow's my best lead source. It's amazing. And I just remember seeing Serena's face cringing and going, there's no way all these other people can be so successful at it, and I can't do it. There's no way.
Earlier, they can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it.
And so she's like, we're signing back up.
Pumped her up.
Yeah. So the next thing you know, once she heard other people were doing it, and now we've got the scripts, we understand this more. It was like, boom, she just started knocking these things out of the park. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of this, like to find out the one thing you should focus on, comes from failing forward and trying. And also there's a little bit of inspiration, like to be in the right place at the right time. She had not succeeded at it, but went to the seminar looking for maybe something new, not knowing what to expect. And that's the beauty of these seminars, is like, just show up and you might learn something. And she learned something she probably didn't expect to, which was go back to the thing you just failed at, but with a different angle. Maybe now ask your coach, what do I say? Talk to those people who raised their hand and said, I'm doing well. Go ask them how they're doing.
Yeah.
So like a lot of finding this is just really by, I think, doing and experimenting and passion. Like something sparked in her that day to get back in it.
It did. Yeah. And to your point, like we've spent over $200,000 in coaching. And to this day, still, I'm not in coaching anymore, but I met a lot of team leaders and brokers in the coaching group. So now we have our own private masterminds.
I would say coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am on those calls every other week for a couple of hours with some of the highest producing people in the country. And it's nice because there's not one in Las Vegas. So I am not afraid to share any of my ideas. They're not afraid to share theirs. And it's true camaraderie that is trying to just help one another learn more. So I've been in this business a long time. I'm a broker, done thousands of transactions, but yet I haven't sat back and said, hey, I know it all. Like I'm done learning. I'm good.
You're, the average of 5 people you spend the most time with, and somebody like yourself who grew to top agent, top team, now the broker. You look around sometimes and maybe you're surrounded by new agents, and that's great. And that's your role to coach. But if you're going to get better, you need to surround yourself with great brokers, and maybe brokers across other states who have multiple branches. So you're constantly striving to improve.
Yeah.
And now you're focused on one thing. What would that one thing be?
The one thing for business or the one thing for life?
Open-ended question, my friend. I'm giving you your own advice. You're a master of one.
Yeah.
What you are mastering right now?
Yeah, I would say working with you to build the brokerage, Magenta, that's definitely, mastering and just trying to get out there to help agents understand that who you work with matters, right? I mean, not all brokers are the same. Not all brokerages are the same. Not all systems, processes, and tools are the same. So there has been this like very canned way of doing brokerages for so many years. And I don't agree with that canned way. I know that you don't agree with that canned way. So we feel that there's a better way. And now it's getting that out there for agents to understand that not all brokerages are the same. And that's hard. It's a hard message because some agents work part-time and communicating like we have 17,000 agents in our marketplace, trying to get that message through to 17,000 independent contractors is not easy.
All right, we're going to move on to Quickfire Wisdom. So this is a segment where I'm going to ask you same 5 questions. We're going to ask every single guest and try to answer it as concise as possible. And we'll try not to go on any tangents.
All right.
But number 1, what's the one habit you've developed that has made the biggest difference in your day-to-day life?
Morning routine.
Morning routine.
Nothing's changed my life more than that.
Okay. In 30 seconds, what's your morning routine?
Morning routine is immediately get up within, have my coffee, and then I'm working out in some way, shape, or form, typically 7 days a week within 45 minutes of waking up.
The rest days?
No, I'm not very good about that. I have easier days than harder days.
No, your joints are.
Yeah. So, but during that, when I'm having my coffee, that's also my mindful time to, have my affirmations and positive self-talk in the morning before I head out to the gym. And then it's really just getting anything that is critically important to do that morning because my whole calendar is time blocked.
Your most important tasks happen first.
Yes.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote or mantra that you live by?
Yeah, we already talked about that earlier. That is, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Classic, and I love it. Always a timeless piece of advice. Which book has played a significant role in contributing to your personal growth?
Yeah, I'm a big book reader. It's really hard to say that one precisely did that. But my most recent book that has really changed the entire way I think about life and raising my kids and my retirement it's called Die with Zero. Yep. Yep. Right there.
Choice.
Yeah, I have to say that after an entire lifetime of thinking a certain way about building wealth and prosperity, that book changed a lot, and it's really hard to get me to change my thoughts on that. So,
I Was Zero, Bill Perkins.
yeah,
Great pick. Read it this year. Probably you recommended it to me.
I did. I recommend it to a lot of people.
Yeah, game changer. One of my friends from college is in town, and now she's reading it, and I just keep recommending it like you, because it makes you think about life and finance and goals, everything from a completely different perspective. Good choice. What's your favorite app or tool for productivity?
I mean, for the past 10, 15 years, I would say that would just be my simple calendar, my electronic calendar. I time block, I live by it. It's important to me. I would say in the last year, the next app coming up is ChatGPT, but that's going to be a huge game changer. Yeah.
I love that answer. Like, just a nice, simple answer. Calendar.
Calendar. Yes.
Timeless.
If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. And if it is on the calendar, it does get done. So think about that for prospecting.
Yes. The hour of power.
Hour of power.
Yeah, that's something you learned in coaching and taught me, and I apply it to multiple things in life. I'll even have a personal hour of power or something. I just love that phrase.
Yeah.
To block off an hour for whatever it is in life you want to do. Could be play with your dog, but get it done in the time allotted.
Even your vacations, time off, the gym, it should all be in your calendar. And then if you just focus and say, I'm going to do whatever my calendar says, I can tell you, just like eating healthy, if I make my lunch the night before for the next day, it'll always be a healthier lunch than when that day comes around and you didn't sleep well, you got a busy day, you're like, I'm going to grab garbage, hangry. So yeah, just it's always better to plan ahead. You'll plan healthier, you'll plan smarter, you'll plan appropriately to build your business and your life. If that's date night every Wednesday with your significant other, like, that should be in there.
And as your business partner, I know, don't schedule 12 o'clock meetings. That's lunchtime.
That's for Tom. So not get hangry.
And lastly, what's your go-to way to unwind after a long day?
It's really just, I'm a big family time person. There's a love language, and I forget the name of it. Serena would know that, but it's time with others. It's whatever that love language is. So that is, like, I like to have dinner with the family every night. That's 80% of the nights we have dinner together, like, if not 90. So that's the way I like to end a crazy day, is with the family.
That's a great way to end this podcast. Thanks, Tom.
Cool. Thanks,
Appreciate
Michael. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Let's take a moment to reflect on a powerful insight Tom shared with us today: the importance of becoming a master of one thing, oneself. As you settle in, think about an area of your life or business where you might feel stretched a little thin, trying to do it all. Notice if your mind races between tasks or if you feel pulled in different directions. Now imagine letting go of the need to do everything at once. Picture yourself focusing your energy on just one thing, something that truly matters to you. Visualize yourself mastering this skill or area and feeling confident, feeling at peace as you grow stronger and more aligned in your purpose. As you continue to breathe deeply, remind yourself that it's okay to pause, reflect, and choose where to focus your energy. Excellence doesn't come from doing it all at once. It comes from doing what's most meaningful to you with intention and care. When you're ready, take one more deep breath and gently open your eyes or shift your awareness back to the moment, carrying this focus and clarity into your day. We've got a couple of great episodes coming up on Beyond the Sale, exploring how the practice of lazy day is critical to your success in all aspects of life. I've been doing this pretty consistently this year to recover from burnout, and it works. Plus, I'll be interviewing Las Vegas real estate agent Ross Green about leveraging technology and systemization to achieve work-life balance as a dad, an agent, and a property manager. He's seriously the best I've ever seen do it, so be sure to tune in. Until next time, take care and be well. Thanks for joining me on this journey today. I'm Michael Coxon, and this is The Mindful Agent. Join me next time as we continue to explore the intersection of real estate, health, and